Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I'm your host, Source, of course. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Smitty Source on both of those. Follow the Source and Company YouTube channel, Apple Podcast, Spotify, etc. And don't forget to follow the Source NCO podcast _RVA Instagram, which is for the show specifically. So any details, updates, anything like that will be there. All right. Okay, let's get into it. Got some serious stuff today. So today's company, she is very simple. She is a nurse by day and a film producer by night. She is the founder of Klosa Productions. She has a new film, 2020 Year of the Nurse, which is already making waves. Specifically, she is debuting it. I'm about to say performing it. Yeah, she's gonna perform a film, debuting it at the BronzeLens Festival in Atlanta. And today's company, Robyn Jones. Hello, Robyn.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Thank you for your time. How are you doing? I know you have a lot going on right now.
I'm doing great. It can be a little overwhelming, but I'm handling it well, and I've got good people in place. So we're rolling. We're excited about what's to come.
Excellent, excellent. I have, like I said this last show, I've done almost 60 shows, and probably 55 of them. My second question is, how has COVID been for you? But that is not really a question I can ask you, because we already know. We already know, being in the nursing field. Yeah. First of all, thank you. Thank you for everything you have done in this time as what we would call a first responder. Yes.
Yes. Well, you're welcome. And as nurses, this has been something that we never thought we would see in our lifetime, where we would deal with something that we had, no answers to. Because as a nurse, we're always, looking at symptoms people have, and we're diagnosing with the physician, and then we implement care. But with COVID, it was really a scary time, and still a scary time, because now there's a variant. So it's not over yet. So don't underestimate, COVID.
I heard somebody say, I don't remember who it was, so I can't say it was an expert, but they were like, this isn't the end, this is the beginning.
I kind of feel that way, that it's going to be a part of us moving forward in life. It's almost like, when the flu hit really bad, and then we start having to get vaccinations for the flu. I feel like we're going to always be getting vaccinations and boosters for COVID to keep up a resistance. So as it changes, because you have to remember, we're a melting pot. We have so many cultures here, and the research is showing it is coming from different cultures. And so we have to be prepared, because at the end of the day, we love each other. We love people, the kids. You can't keep people away from each other, because that's how we function. We really vibe on hugs and just, closeness and togetherness. So you got to come up with a proper way to manage this.
Yeah, I'm a hugger, so
Yes,
that was one
too.
thing. That was one thing. I don't know if it was like on social media, or I don't know where it was, but I remember having a conversation talking about, are you still gonna just hug people like regularly? This was early on. I was like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I like, I always like to interact with people and hug people, but I had to take a little time out.
Yeah, it's hard not to hug, but people, they'll give you the elbow thing or something, because I love hugging, and it's just been a challenge, because my daughter just had a baby, and my grandkids are not old enough to get the vaccine, so they're still wearing the mask consistently, because they haven't been protected. And so even though I've had the vaccine, I still wear my mask around them, so they're comfortable. And we think we know, but it's still under research, how people are getting it, and how good we're doing as a society, washing our hands and distance and different things. Because some places, they're not doing masks at all. So I think each individual, they follow, they kind of own guidelines. Because if you got somebody older at home or a baby, you can tell, because people are a little more cautious. So I just tell people, if you've made it this far, continue to do what you're doing, because it's work.
Yeah, people have told me that I was paranoid and, overzealous about it. I was like, bro, like I have, people in my household that are, immune deficient in some ways. And then I have a mom who is 78. So I'm not going to be going where she lives and not be cautious in what I do. So take that with a grain of salt. And I'm going to keep it safe. That's what we're going to do. Keep it safe as we can.
And that's the thing. Don't let other people's beliefs and opinions sway you from what you need to do for your family. And that's the one thing. This is affecting the whole community, and we're all responsible. So it's nothing like, 2 months from now or 2 weeks, a diagnosis come up and you knew you didn't do what you needed to do. So this way, you keeping her safe and you feel good about yourself. Because for me, I've been tested probably 5 times since it happened. And each time I knew I had did everything right. But since I had been traced back and been around that group of people, I had to take the test. But I'm going to tell you from experience, you still feeling some kind of way. you because you don't know. And then if it had been positive, there was no treatment. It's like go home and stay isolated for so many days. So thank God I never had to experience that, but I've had friends and family that have, and I spent time on the phone with them, and then everything checked out good. But it's a scary feeling, and my daughter has been through it several times, and the grandkids too, because like I say, they have not been vaccinated. But if they end up being around somebody with it, now they got to go through the test. And I don't know if you've been tested before, but it's no fun.
Yeah, I do know it is no fun at all. No fun at all.
None.
So let's before we dig into the nursing side and of course the movie, let's go back a little bit. Take it back to your youth, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's right with me. What is it you think you want to know?
You say you grew up in Florida, right?
Yes. I grew up in Tampa, Florida, and I went away to college in Texas. And that's where I became a nurse. Back then it was called a LPN, licensed practical nurse. And now it's called LVN, licensed vocational nurse. And then I moved here with my first husband, and that's how I got in Richmond, Virginia. And now I have my master's degree. So I've been back to school multiple times for my RN, BSN, and MSN. And I'm a certified dialysis nurse. I work with kidney patients. That's my specialty. So I've been in the game over 30 years and wouldn't trade anything about it.
You covered all the questions. You took
it. Did I cover all the questions?
You took it from childhood.
But I know, like college, you say,
how you got to Virginia, all of it. You did it all in one fell swoop. So congratulations.
Yeah. I kind of get that question a lot. People like, what are you doing here? Because when you think of Florida, people are like, oh my God, I would love to live by the beach. But I'm gonna tell you, having 4 seasons, it's special to me because my body feels different than when it's always hot and everything. But I'm going back there when I retire. Trust and believe that. But right now, I enjoy the seasons. I love the fashion. That's the first thing that got me when I got here. People wearing scarves and gloves and just, looking real sharp. Down there, we wore a lot of shorts, flip-flops, stuff like that, It's a big difference.
Understood. I was just talking to a friend of mine about his passion for Florida. He just came back from Florida yesterday. It's like, girl, you go to Florida like every month. It's like, why would I not? Why would I not?
Yes.
So you said you got into the nursing field in college. What was it? Was it something specific that led you that route, or what was it about nursing that drew you in?
Well, that's a good question. When I was young, I had an aunt that lived with us, and she had emphysema and something like COPD, but emphysema, people develop a barrel-like chest. That's an old diagnosis. You very seldom hear it now. but she worked at a factory, and a lot of times people that get emphysema, they were smokers, but she got it from working in a factory because back then, you know, the guidelines were probably different and things weren't over, you know, inspected like they should have, because this was back in the day. But nevertheless, she had a lot of health challenges, shortness of breath, and she would, you know, faint on occasion, you know, just all kind of issues. And I was young, but I was there to take care of her. And I really had a passion for just taking care of older people. And basically I was probably 16, 17, and I hung out with her and all her friends, and they were older. And I just, you know, felt like that's something I wanted to do. But I really thought I wanted to be a social worker. And I remember going away to college. She told me when I took care of her, she said, you know, you need to go to school to be a nurse. And I was like, nurse, you know, I heard that was really hard, pass and everything. But I went away to be a nurse, and probably about a month into school, she passed away. But I remember her always saying, you need to be a nurse, because when I get sick and pass out or start having problems breathing, everybody run away from me, but you're the only one that runs to me. So I know that you can do this. And so I went on to nursing school, and I was curious as to what was going on with her body. And so I felt, you know, empowered that I was able to understand, even though I wasn't able to help her at the time. I got into the dialysis field because she had kidney issues as well. And back then they weren't covered under insurance. So we needed to private pay. And we couldn't afford to pay for her to have dialysis 3 days a week. So she didn't have dialysis and, you know, ultimately passed away. So that was a passion of mine to give back. And so that's why I've spent most of my career working with kidney patients. And it's been one of the greatest, you know, joys of my life, because you really meet some amazing people. Because as you may know, hypertension and diabetes, they can fail you because they damage the cells. And so it's just really important to control those things, especially in the African-American community.
Indeed, indeed. That's a great sentiment that your aunt gave. You know, everybody runs away from me and you run, you know, to me. So that was an awesome sighting on her part. And I guess it's in you. It's in you.
Yeah, I do believe nursing is a calling. I think it's changed a lot over the years because, you know, being a nurse, you can make good money because there's specialties in it. Mine was definitely a specialty, but you got to have a heart for it, because it can take a toll on you. You're going to see a lot out here. And I think as I've gotten older in the career, it's almost like going to war. You see a lot of things change. You see a lot of, especially where I work at my facility, you know, you have the patients that you see, we call them frequent flyers. They're in and out. And then when they don't come back that Monday, you know, they passed away. And, you know, you may have developed a nice relationship with them for years. And now you're hurt, but business as usual. But it's like, you know, Mr. Smith passed away over the weekend. You don't have that time to debrief. And it's hard. And being in as long as I have, I've seen a lot of patients go and met a lot of awesome families during that process.
Wow, that's heavy. I don't think that we really, like, we know it. We know that happens in the medical field. People that aren't in the medical field, we know it happens in the medical field. You see people, they pass away, but I don't think we think about the fact that it's going to take a toll on you mentally to see that week after week and to find a way to cope with it. How did you learn to cope with that? Because that's got to be a skill.
It's a lifelong learning. You never, when you get to the place that you have mastered it, it's time to leave. Because when your heart is in it, every patient is like a family member. So your game is higher. You start to feel like, oh, it's just another person with the flu, just another person with COVID, just another person with a heart attack. You diminish the person and the value of what you do. You know, and that's the one thing, you know, when I talk to some of my nurses that I've trained and mentoring now, they like, we sure miss you out there, because I mean, you kept the game high. Because I mean, everything was important to me, because that could be your wife or your sister or your daughter. And when we take them to work on them, you expect me to change that narrative. And I take it seriously. And so when we can't change that, we take that to heart. And one thing about medicine is, you can't save everybody, but you go in with intent to do no harm and help that person. So at my stage in nursing, I'm an educator now, but I still feel that same feeling. I can be in the hospital and they call a code. If I go and respond and help out and we don't, be able to revive the person, I take that out the door. Even though I'm not in gear like them, I got on, just pants and my lab coat. When I go out the building, I'm still dealing with that mentally, what just happened. And so I think that's why being in a relationship or, people don't understand. They're like, hey, you gonna meet us at, downtown or something. And you're like, no, not tonight. Cause you processing everything that just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're still in there, you love everybody. So I think it's an ongoing process. Mental health is a part of all of us. It's not just people that are dealing with child abuse and sexual abuse and all that. No, it's in all of us. I mean, most careers, you're going to see some things that scar you. And we forget that. Even our kids, just going to school can be traumatic for them now. Because they're afraid of, am I going to get COVID? Is something going to happen to me? They've never had to think like that before.
And we never had to think like that. So we're like looking at them like, we try to put on. Somebody told me the other day, parents don't know what they're doing. They're trying, but they're learning as they go, become an older parent. Same thing. We're all learning, dealing with COVID, or are learning still. And we can put on a brave face, but sometimes we don't know. We don't know any better. So we're just hoping for the best.
And I think the key is to be honest. You can, tell your children, I'm not quite sure, but this is what we need to keep doing. This is what they say to do. And we all have a gut. We all have an internal feeling sometimes. If it don't feel right, then just, wait. If somebody say, you don't have to wear your mask and you need to put your mask on. That way you comfortable with what you're doing.
That's right.
So, yeah. So don't, like you were saying, some people think you overreact by wearing your stuff. But long as you feel good about it, you're not worrying about your mom. And if you may have taken something over there to the house.
Right.
Stick with the plan.
Exactly. Stick with the plan. Oh, man. So the plan for you somewhere along the line in nursing changed to the world of film.
Yeah, I say they collided together, they merged together, they got married. And I say that this is the greatest collaboration I've ever endeavored. And I've been talking to nurses about entrepreneurship because nursing has prepared us for a gamut of things, and we are just at the tip of it. Because we have to be so quick on our feet and we're always doing multiple things. And so when you get into the entrepreneurship lane, it's fire, I'm telling you, because we've been bred that way. And so I was fortunate enough, I was gonna write a book about 5 or 6 years ago. And I had a childhood friend from home, Lorenzo Coswell. He used to live next door to me. He called, he found me on Facebook, and then we talked on the phone, and he was saying, I'm getting into this film thing because he used to act, and he said, working on this project, you might be interested. So I said, what do I have to do? And so he said, well, they need funding, they need this, and then you can, participate in this and that. And so I was like, well, let me think about it. So I asked him to get the writer and director and everybody on the phone. Let's talk. This guy, James Hunter, they called me, and we had like a conference call. We wasn't doing any virtual stuff back then, but conference call. And he was just really like selling me on this movie. It's called The Turnaround. It's actually on Amazon Prime now. And I was impressed with the storyline. Of course, it was about a young Black man, you know, making good decisions, turning his life around. And the story intrigued me. So, you know, I decided to invest in the project. And so I flew down to Orlando on set to meet everybody because, you know, we're just on the phone. And here comes James rolling around in the electric wheelchair. He's paralyzed. On the phone, I mean, I didn't have a vision of any of that. And we just clicked and we just, you know, started that film relationship. And that project was a blessing to me because we actually got multiple awards for it. Actually, BronzeLens, it was featured in BronzeLens Film Festival. That was my first time to Atlanta in the really film scene, meeting so many awesome people that I work with today. And so that was the beginning. And I've done about 13 projects since then. And 2020 Year of the Nurse is my first feature. I've done a short, but this is my first feature. And it has taken off. It really has been a blessing. And this was a vision from God because COVID hit, I have never felt the uneasiness that I felt when COVID hit. And to watch the healthcare team moving around with that intensity that they had, I spent most of my days, the first, say, 2 or 3 weeks in the chapel at my job because I did not know what to do, how to help. And nurses were coming to me pretty much having emotional moments about the fear because we love taking care of patients. We love what we do. This isn't just a job. But the fear was there because you're coming into the hospital and you're going home to your family, your husband, mother, you know. And so I'm learning from CDC. I'm, you know, trying to give them confidence, but I'm still fearful too. And so I started this project based on that. And God really was telling me, because I kept saying, what is it that I could do? Because I don't know what, I've never seen anything like this. Doctors getting sick, nurses getting sick. I mean, not just a cold or out 2 days. I mean, ventilator, like they're critically sick.
You mentioned earlier, before we started recording, that there's been a lot of, like you mentioned, the doctors and nurses, medical staff who've been ill or, you know, passed away during this time, and it hasn't been talked about as much as probably it should, as much as it should, especially with those being the people that are taking care of the other people who are having the same issues. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I think it's something that's probably been missed because as I talk to my peers, you know, we have sympathy for it because you don't really understand how we're feeling because we're like Superman to people. They're like, hey, they can handle it. That's what they do. But we're human. And I think it's so important that you embrace the fact that these are the people that's going to take care of you. And that's how I feel. I'm nervous because people are living longer, 80s, 90s, 100. And we already have a nursing shortage now. And if people decide not to come into nursing or continue with nursing, it's going to hit me really hard and you and other people because this is our generation. And then if people are not going to nursing school, you know, you have to get a picture in your head of what's that going to look like. Am I going to be at home on the phone calling saying I don't feel well and somebody's going to be telling me what to do? Or am I going to have a person that's going to sit there and talk to me and make me feel comfortable? Yes, I like telemedicine, but it's nothing like being face to face. And my doctor can see the fear in my eyes or that I don't feel well. He can see that because he's been my doctor for 15 years. He's like, Robyn, you don't look good. Right. And that's, you know, so I think, you know, I really want to help educate people and empower people and the nurses as well to stay in the game. Don't leave now. I know COVID has been hard. We've lost a lot of friends and family, plus our team during COVID. But we can make it through this because we want to be in a better position for the next pandemic because you live long enough, there will be another one. And we have to, stand together and be ready, be proactive, not reactive. And I think leadership, transparency, all of those things are important. It's kind of like when Tiger Woods and Serena Williams and all of them started playing certain sports that we weren't educated on. And then when Obama got in office, we started getting more politically involved. And I think I don't want people to miss this opportunity to get involved with the healthcare industry, because it's going to impact you. And when you watch this documentary, 2020 Year of the Nurse, you'll hear from some of the providers that, normally what you was going to the hospital for, people didn't do that because it's different. People kind of afraid to go to the hospital because they're afraid they might catch COVID in the hospital, but you need to go get your chest pain evaluated. You need to go get that headache you had for 10 days evaluated. But people are like, no, I'll be all right. So when people are getting sick now, they're a little bit sicker because they have not, looked for healthcare, because they're like, I don't want to go in the waiting room with all those people and they could still have COVID. So it's a different, perspective. But if the nurse is involved, she's like, come on in here, we got you. Wash your hands, you're gonna be fine, because they trust us, because we're not gonna bring you into the lion's mouth. We're gonna protect you, because that speaks volumes as to our care. The less that you're in the hospital is a reflection of that free care you're getting at the doctor's office, and the education.
That's real though. And that's a good point. I mean, I don't even know if I thought about it, but we feel like the nurse is on our side a lot of times, and we feel like the doctor is against us, because you look at the doctor, like the doctor, he's just trying to get money. He want me to be sick, blah, blah, blah. And it's like you have a rapport with the nurse, so you feel a little more connected with the nurse as opposed to the doctor. I don't know if I ever thought about it like that, but interesting. That's interesting.
And it's always been like that, because the doctor, he's going to diagnose. So he's bringing the thunder, as I say. If he come in and say, hey, you have diabetes, Mr. Smith. We talked about this 2 years ago. You need to lose weight. You need to do this, do that. But now we're going to put you on some insulin. See you later. Make a follow-up appointment. He leaves. Mm-hmm. And we come in and we're like, okay, Mr. Smith, and you're like, man, I wish he had told me. I was sitting right here when he told you, Mr. Smith, but you decided that, it's not going to happen to me. And you went on with the same lifestyle. Now you got to get serious, because now this is preventable. You don't always have to be on insulin. You just need to invest in yourself and say, hey, I want to be around to see my grandkids, my kids, my grandkids, and my great grandkids. But it's all on you, because we can educate all day, but it's up to you to go home, clear all that mess out your kitchen, get you some healthy food in there, and go to work. And that's the thing I tell people at my age. I just turned 57, and I tell them the greatest investment is in yourself. They're like, what? What do you mean by that? I'm not just talking about your hair and your nails. I'm saying quality time to debrief your brain, your body, and just sit still. And then walk a little bit. Do some things that are hard. They're hard because I'm busy, and I know you're busy too. But if you start your day with that, it helps everything to kind of fall into place. Even if it means for me getting up at 4:30 or 5, it's the best time, because I'm with God, everybody else sleep, and I can get clarity, and it'll keep your blood pressure down, because you don't get up at 7 or 8 running. I've been that person.
Right.
I've been that person, but most things that we suffer with are preventable, but it's on us. It's the doctor can prescribe you any and everything, but you have got to put some skin in the game. You have to.
We need to find another generic name to use. You keep saying Mr. Smith, and it's making me feel some kind of way. I'm like, she talking about me personally? I don't know. Let me
okay, I'm gonna use the Mr. Jones. That's the other name.
Ooh, got me sweating over here. All right. So you told me about your tattoo on your arm.
Oh yeah. I don't think they can see it, but this week I was very fortunate enough to finally find a tattoo artist. And when my nursing career collided with the film industry, it was magic for me, because I meet so many wonderful people that have projects and stories and things they want to share, whether they're going to educate people, people can relate to it, and also just it's a form of therapy too, to get it out of you and put it out into the atmosphere. And so I talked about, I'm going to get a tattoo with the two of them merging together, because I love it. And I'll be retiring in about 4.5 years. So this foundation for film is being built. And so I'm always be a nurse. I'm always be a nurse, because I haven't worked the floor in years, but people, it doesn't stop them from whipping up their shirt, showing me something, and pulling down their pants, showing me something else. And I mean, I get it all, because I'm still a nurse. I'm always be a nurse. And so I just know that the two together is an opportunity to educate the world and the community. And this movie, 2020 Year of the Nurse, it is more than just a movie. It is a movement, because I want people to understand who we are, what we do, how much you guys mean to us, and build that connection between nursing and the community. Because we had the nurse, what is it? What am I trying to say? We had Nurses Month in May. It was really Nurses Week, but they extended it to a month. And that's when I released this trailer. And I have talked to probably 25 nurses. I just did a little private poll, and only 2 of them got acknowledgement for.
Really?
And then the acknowledgement may have been a pen, may have been an email. And I think about all that we have been through. We can't even go to a restaurant and get a discount like a fireman or a police officer. Not that we are asking for that,
right?
But we all like to be appreciated. And these nurses that are coming out now, younger nurses, they're not staying long. And I try to mentor them and, tell them just put in a little more time. But they're like, no, I don't want to do, but they're great at what they do. And so I think that's something I want to share and let people know that, yeah, we love what we do, but they want to be heard and they want to be seen. And I had an opportunity to talk to a colleague today that works at Central State and here in Virginia. And a lot of nurses walked off the job recently because of the conditions. In nursing, when there's a nursing shortage, we have a lot of laws and that we're governed by. And they like to sometimes in organizations threaten us with our license. In my career, I've been in a long time. I've worked 36 hours before straight. And we cannot do that anymore. You cannot do that because, after a period of time, you're not as sharp. But when there's a shortage or an emergency, nurses, we tend to stay over. We 8-hour shifts, but we might be there 14 because we still making sure Mr. Jones is okay. We still cleaning the room. We got a chart. And we may not be getting paid for all that time, but we're going to make sure everything is done. And so nurses, it's a different ball game. They're leaving. When you're talking about nurses leaving from mental health, this is a crisis because all of us got some mental health challenges from being isolated, from being restricted so much to travel and to do the things that make us whole. So, and not even being able to go to church and worship and let that stuff out. So it's a crucial time, I think, and people are missing it. So I really want to make sure people are understanding that it's getting a little serious, and we need to look at numbers. We need to see what's going on. Why are nurses leaving? Because it's a great profession, and we make good salaries, good benefits. So why are you leaving? But you want to be treated with dignity and respect.
I can appreciate that and respect it. Yeah. like I said, we feel closer to the nurses. Maybe we feel closer to the nurses too much. Maybe we feel closer to the nurses as in they're so like us that they don't get the respect that they deserve. I mean, because people always respect the doctor. They always respect the doctor, but you're telling me they don't respect the nurse. And I can see that.
Yeah, and it's not so much, we're not really talking about patient respect. You have your challenges with the patients. And in the film, we talk about discrimination in nursing. We do. It's a very courageous conversation. It's powerful, but it's real. And I've been in it a long time. I've seen a lot, felt a lot. I've been spit on, kicked, all kind of stuff. And a lot of times it just shocks you. It shocked you so much that you can't respond because you're like, did they really just do that? But people have convictions and they will stand by it to the end. You have to realize that's their conviction. And you have to say, I can't help them because they don't want to be helped by me. You have to.
I was about to say, how do you even approach that? But you kind of explained it. You can remove yourself from the situation if that's how you feel.
Yeah, you have to, because it'll mess you up as an African American person, as a female. One thing I share with people all the time when you're dealing with certain profession. I remember when I was a nursing assistant as well as a nurse, LPN, and then I, have managed dialysis units. I've been managers before, and people will come in and walk past me looking for the manager, and can you get me some coffee? Can you hold this? Taking their coat off. Like, no, I'm the manager, and it's just understood that we may not be in charge, but holistically, a lot of times we're on that leadership team. We may not get acknowledged, but we're there. And it's a saying that I deal with at work all the time. People are like, I know that's your work. Your name may not be on it, but I know that's you, because they know my style. Right. And so I gave that up about 5 or 10 years ago. I'm not going to chase stuff that I know I developed, because I know what I did, and you can't get up here. You can take that little idea, because there's many more to come. So I've learned to release it, because if not, you're fighting that battle. And we talk about getting to the table, but be strategic when you're at the table. Don't tell everything. Don't tell everything.
That goes for any field. That's just at the table, period. I definitely hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you on that.
Be there and listen, but don't tell everything, because they'll say, "Oh no, I don't think that's a good idea." 2 weeks later, there it is.
Slide it right from under you.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Well, I'm just gonna say this. It's not a big deal. I'm saying it so that we love nurses over here, because at one point last year, I have a sports bar podcast group on Facebook. And it was just like the year before, so 2019, we did like a school thing where we did school supplies for kids, blah, blah, blah. Okay. 2020 hits, we're like, what are we going to do? So we started collecting a little bit of money. It wasn't a lot, but we collected like some dollars and would just find nurses that we knew or that were in the area, just send them $10 for lunch, whatever the case may be.
Oh, that was nice.
Like, we know, we feel you, we feel your pain. So we definitely appreciate
awesome. You. And we appreciate that. I had nurses that worked in different COVID units, and people from their neighborhood would send them lunch and different things. And it was just so powerful. And then there were the nurses that, they didn't get anything. And we talk about that. And they were like, it's not that we need anything. It's just like you and your spouse or, your mate, they doing a good job, but it's nice to say, baby, you doing it. I'm doing this, because it just make her cook more and then make her see that, hey, he appreciate, he don't take me for granted. And so when COVID came, I think that's when the spotlight really got on nurses that we saw that they really don't see, they don't see me. They don't see me. And when it was over, you didn't see me. And we saw several interviews, not many, during COVID, but they didn't look like us. And we're out much stronger. You know, when I graduated, I was the only Black in my class. But now you see a lot of Blacks, a lot of different nationalities, you know, in nursing. It's a melting pot. So I think it's just important for us to have a voice. It's our time. It's our time. You know, a lot of my Caucasian friends, they've been watching the trailer. They like, oh man, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I said, yeah, because it's time for us to stand up and speak and deal with discrimination. And, you know, one of my Caucasian friends, she called and she said, I want to apologize to you. And I said, for what? She said, I think I'm somewhat prejudiced. Wow. I might have some issues. And I said, what do you mean? Because she's always been awesome to me. And she said, because some things I said nothing. I saw stuff and I should have said something. And she said, so I want to apologize to you, even though I didn't do it to you, but I should have said something because I know it was wrong. And that meant so much to me because I told her, I said, when you're African-American and you're a female, you got to fight even harder because people get these stereotypes. I was listening to T.I. on the interview and he was asking a question, what is the one thing you wish you could unlearn? And I thought that was powerful what he asked, because I think people learn things coming up and it's hard for them to let go. So if they think we're not intelligent, we got an attitude, we this, we that, you're not being fair. You know, I may raise my voice, I may not smile a lot when I'm dealing with business because I'm focused. That don't mean I'm a mean person, but that's how, you know, some people can laugh through projects and do great. I'm more of a, I got to get serious. I can't have a lot of noise around me, and I'm on it.
Right.
But when you get those stereotypes involved, then you know, impede our ability to, you know, accomplish these things together. So I always try to look at both sides of it. But that conversation meant so much to me because she watched me, you know, get looked over for multiple promotions, and I was over. But like I told her in the end, you know, God is my keeper, and no good thing would he hold from me. So by me moving to another department, I was able to pursue my film career. And so I tell my mentees all the time, they use the word underutilized. They feel they want to do more, but they're not getting the promotions. And I said, just trust God in it. What else would you like to do? When they tell me, it may not have anything to do with their job that they have 9 to 5. But now when you get home, you still got legs, you still got energy. Work on your cleaning business. Work on your home interior business. That's okay. You're going to be fine because, see, God knows what he's doing because, see, them days when we was working 12, 14 hours, we didn't even know where we parked the car when everything was over. We done hustle and hustle. We done ran call. Now he said, okay, you got your master's degree. Now I need for you to go to the developmental stage. So just walk in that blessing and be okay with shifting a little bit. And I think, you know, as a culture, we've always had to work hard for everything. So when you get to a place where you can, you know, do a full-time job, and then that's why I say nurse by day, film producer by night. I have some energy to come home and work 3 or 4 hours at night on my film production company. And that's all God. But there were times I wanted to go back to the floor because I felt like, you know, I wanted to be moving and running. God said, you know, you done did that. I need for you to sit down, use what's up here, and develop some processes. Because a lot of times you don't see behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
You just see the front line. But for the frontline workers to survive and get the job done, you have people behind developing policies and procedures and making sure all the information was being threaded to them. So don't ever underestimate your role, you know. So I just think we have to embrace those things as we mature. You know, it's hard. It's hard. You know, it's hard. I see guys in their 50s playing basketball. I'm like, oh, sit down, because you know, if you hurt something, it could be like 2 years before you recover. Let them young boys play, you know, sit out there and laugh, but you did your stuff. Don't.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was just thinking though when you said it, because you know, people want to stay in the game. That was the analogy that you made. People want to stay in the game. They might need to just move to coaching or ownership or something else on the outside, not necessarily in the fight. That's it.
Yeah, and I think we as professionals in any profession, like I watch basketball or football, and I see Chris Webber. I used to love him, and my mom's crazy about him. And now he's, you know, commentating and stuff.
Right.
And so, you know, people that don't like him, they, you know, just be talking. And I'm like, you know, he's still getting checked. He's still happy. And his body gonna last him a lot longer, because now he can analyze the game out loud as opposed to being on the court trying to figure it out. And that's how I look at nursing. You know, I was in there. Now I'm on the outside looking in, and I can analyze it better, come up with processes that work better, because now I've been in the game, so I got a better view than a person that hasn't. You know, you have a lot of people in businesses that never sold a car, but then they your boss. And it's like, you can't tell me how to do something you've never done, in my opinion. So it's just good to transition when that time comes, and don't be afraid.
I'm looking at the camera and say this because you said Chris Webber. Y'all know I hate Chris Webber as a commentator, but that's not the point. I get the point.
He getting paid. He was just, I don't know why he popped in my head. And I didn't even know that about you, but out of all the basketball players, he popped in my head. I'm sorry.
That's funny though. I don't, not as a person, just as a commentator. I think he's terrible at commentating, but that's another story for another day.
Look, I didn't say he was great. I was just saying that he got that other job. Look, Charles Barkley and Shaq, they are so comical. It is hilarious. I said, to see them in those suits, as big as they are after playing sports, it's the funniest thing to me, because I watched basketball when Moses Malone was playing, Ralph Sampson. Moses Malone was my man. And that's been years ago. And so now to be in Virginia, you know, and everybody thinks so much of them, it's just great. It's like it come full circle. So I just say they need to have on some jeans or something. They do not need to be in suits.
Right. That's a good point. They don't need, what are they in suits for? What does that serve? What purpose does that serve? Nothing. So when do we get to experience 2020 Year the Nurse?
Well, you can find the trailer for people that haven't seen it. It's on YouTube on the 2020 Year the Nurse. Please view it, comment, sign up for our page, because there are great things coming. But we've been selected for the BronzeLens Film Festival in Atlanta, which is going to be in August. So if you go on BronzeLens site, you'll be able to see the movies that have been selected. And that will be our world premiere. Right now is for August 17th. They haven't put a time there. You'll have to pay and register to be at the film festival virtual. And it's going to be, if you have never been to a film festival, it is a amazing experience, because you get to view a lot of different films from people that's been in film a long time and people like myself who's a newcomer. And you really get classes that give you understanding of how the film festival works, how they produce different projects, how much they cost and stuff like that. And they ask those questions, you know, how much did it cost you to make it? How long did it take? And I learned the hard way. A lot of projects I was involved with, they were kind of short and sweet. This one was supposed to be short and sweet, and it took a year. We filmed during COVID. The blessing was that by me being in dialysis for years, we always wore protective gear. Right. So this project is unique because my producers were in Orlando and California. So they was on Zoom. I had already figured that out. I'm gonna bring them in on the computer. There's no need to fly them in here to be on site, because we couldn't have all these people in a room.
Right.
So it was just me and my AD and the film team and the nurse. So I have two twins that's in the film. They were the only two that interviewed together. Everybody else, they don't know what the other person said to this day. They don't know because I interviewed them separately. So to put this project together and the way it bounces off, man, it's fire. I'm telling you. And I'm just excited because it will impact so many people that have lost loved ones during COVID, wanted an understanding of how we perceived it. And I always do the analogy, you know, I fly all the time for business. And you know, you're on the flight, everything is good. The stewardess, she's smiling and, you know, walking around doing her thing. But when you feel that turbulence and she's back there in the back and she look like she praying and head down, and you're like, you know, this isn't good, because they should have been used to a lot of turbulence. But when they get in that mode, then we know something's wrong. And then the pilot is saying, you know, he's talking fast and telling everybody to sit down and this, that, and the third. You know, that's just how this project is going to bring you into that environment. That trailer, so many people said, oh my God, when can I see it? Because I cried through the whole thing, because certain things right at the beginning impact you because you've lost a loved one or you had COVID. I've had 2 interviews where both of those people had COVID. I had no idea. I had no idea. So once we got to talking, they started sharing their story. And now they're having, you know, the after effects of it. So that's what's so real.
Wow.
It's still a part of us.
Indeed. And like we said, it may be the end, or it may just be the beginning for around for the future. So I definitely appreciate the project, and I appreciate you, Robyn, taking the time to sit down and chat with me. This was
thank
fun.
you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Any last words for the people?
Well, I just hope that people will support my project, 2020 Year of the Nurse. I have a Facebook page from my production company called Klosa Productions, spelled with a K, Klosa, and the IG page. And then we have a 2020 Year of the Nurse IG page and Facebook page. And we're updating because we've entered the film in 7 film festivals and also to PBS. So I'm expecting great things to come off this project. And like I said, it's not just a movie, it's a movement. So I plan on some very interesting things to finish out the year, and for Nurses Week in May of 2021, something huge is going to happen. Awesome. And, I think we're going to start a revolution where every May people are going to be like, oh, we got to do this for the nurses, because, man, when you look at the numbers, it's scary, but we definitely got to bring people into the healthcare.
Indeed. Well, again, thank you, Robyn, for joining me. Everybody, Robyn Jones, please support the movie. Check out the IG page, FB page, all that good stuff. And we're looking forward to it in August.
Thank you so much for having me.
No doubt. Thank you, Robyn. Source out here.
All righty. Thank you. Bye-bye.